By the time I was 10, Redpaw and I were familiar with many paths in our woods, but Papa decided it was time for me to learn something new, something more purposeful, he said. Elros Meadowlight is coming to visit, he announced one morning, his eyes twinkling. And he's offered to give you your first real archery lesson. Elros Meadowlight. Even his name sounded like the forest itself. He was a ranger. Papa respected deeply, a tall, quiet man with eyes the color of forest pools and a way of moving through the woods as silently as a shadow. I'd met him a few times before, always feeling a little shy, but also intensely curious about him and his ranger ways. I couldn't help but notice how big he was compared to me. Rangers were strong, brave, skilled, and usually tall and imposing, like Elros. I was small, a halfling, barely reaching Papa's waist. A tiny seed of doubt whispered in my mind. Could I really be a ranger? Could I be strong enough? The clearing Papa chose for the lesson was different from the glade, less softly welcoming, more focused. It was a smaller space, ringed by tall pines that filtered the sunlight into cool, vertical shafts. The ground was bare earth, worn smooth and packed down with a simple wooden target stand set up at one end, its straw target worn but sturdy. The air here smelled sharp and clean, pine needles and wood smoke, a place for practice and concentration, not for gentle daydreams. Elros arrived mid-morning, his longbow unslung across his back, a quiver of arrows at his hip. He greeted Papa with a quiet nod and a few murmured words, then turned his calm, forest pool gaze to me. "Lidda," he said, his voice low and steady, like the rustling of pine branches in a calm breeze. "Ready to learn to speak with the bow?" I nodded eagerly, my shyness momentarily forgotten in my excitement. He smiled, a small, almost hidden smile that warmed his eyes. "Good. First," he said, unstringing his own bow and handing me a smaller, lighter bow made for a child's hands, "we must learn to stand." For the next hour, Elros guided me through the basics. Stance, feet firmly planted, balanced like a young tree rooted to the earth. Grip, firm but not rigid, feeling the wood in my hand, becoming one with the bow. Drawing the string, smooth and steady, pulling strength from my core, not just my arms, feeling the tension build like holding a breath. Aiming, not just with my eyes, but with my whole body, feeling the line from my feet to the target, becoming part of the arrow's path. And release, clean and crisp, letting go, trusting the bow, trusting myself. It was harder than it looked. My arms trembled, my stance wobbled, my arrows flew wildly astray, thumping into the dirt or whistling high over the target. Frustration flickered, and the doubt I felt earlier resurfaced. Maybe I wasn't strong enough. Maybe halflings just weren't meant to be rangers. But Elros was patient, his corrections gentle but precise. He didn't scold when I missed, but simply showed me again. His movements fluid and economical, like the bow was an extension of his own body. He'd adjust my stance, show me how to breathe, remind me to feel the balance, Lidda, the connection. And as I practiced, slowly, clumsily, something began to click. My stance steadied, my arm trembled less, and sometimes, just sometimes, the arrow would fly truer, thudding into the straw target closer and closer to the center. Each small success was a thrill, a tiny spark of accomplishment that warmed me from the inside out. But Elros' lesson wasn't just about hitting a target. Between rounds of shooting, he spoke to me about the ranger's way, about Gecyndas, and about gentle strength. The bow, Lidda, he explained, holding up his own longbow, its wood worn smooth with use, is a tool of strength. Yes. But a ranger's strength is not for violence or for taking for pleasure. It is for protection, for balance, for guarding the innocent, for maintaining the wild places. He pointed to the forest around us, the tall pines standing sentinel, the sunlight filtering through the branches. Gecyndas teaches us to be strong like the oak, but gentle like the willow. To be firm in our purpose, but flexible in our approach. To use our strength not to dominate, but to defend. Archery, for a ranger, is an act of devotion, Lidda. Each arrow is a prayer, sent with intention, guided by purpose. We aim true, not to conquer, but to protect. Remember that. He seemed to sense my earlier doubt, though I hadn't spoken it aloud. He knelt down beside me, his gaze kind and direct. "You are small, Lidda, yes," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "Halflings are not built like oaks, perhaps. But consider the willow, little one. It bends in the strongest wind, yet it does not break. Strength is not just size and muscle. It is also about focus, about balance, about heart, and about faith, Lidda. Faith in Gecyndas, faith in yourself, and faith in the path you choose to follow." He placed a hand on my small bow, his larger hand covering mine. "With practice, with hard work, with devotion to Gecyndas and to your training, you will find your strength, Lidda. You will learn to use this bow and your own unique gifts to be a ranger, a true protector. Do not let size fool you, little one. The forest has need of hearts of all sizes, as long as they are brave and true." He then showed me how to nock another arrow, his movements deliberate and mindful. "Feel the wood, Lidda," he said again, his voice quiet but resonant. "Feel the string's tension. Feel the breath in your lungs. Feel Gecyndas' presence in the forest around you. Draw strength from all of it, and then release. With purpose, with gentleness, with strength guided by heart." As I drew back the bow again, his words echoed in my mind. Gentle strength, protection, balance, devotion. Not about size, but about heart, faith. I focused on my stance, my breath, the feel of the bow in my hand, the image of the target, and something deeper, something more. And this time, when I released the arrow, it flew straight and true, hitting the target squarely, closer to the center than ever before. A small, quiet sound, but a sound of solid impact, of connection. Elros nodded, a rare, genuine smile lighting his face. "Good, Lidda," he said, his eyes warm with approval. "Very good. You have the beginnings of a ranger's heart and a ranger's hand. Remember what you have learned today, not just about the bow, but about why we hold it. Gentle strength, Lidda. That is the ranger's way and Gecyndas' blessing." Standing there in the quiet clearing, the scent of pine sharp in the air, the warmth of accomplishment blooming in my chest, I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't just about hitting a target with an arrow. It was about something bigger, something deeper. It was about purpose and strength, and a way of being in the world, regardless of how small I might be. It was about becoming a ranger, not just in skill, but in spirit. And it felt, in that moment, like the truest path I could ever imagine walking. A path where even a small halfling could stand tall and make a difference.